Alright guys, I'm going to be wearing a full face respirator, so when I'm talking you're probably not going to be able to hear me or what I'm saying. I'll continue talking and over the machine noise and everything like that. I'll try to do a overdub to explain this, but the first thing I did was I changed out to an old 50 grit in order to grind my initial 45 bevels, and then I'll go straight on to grinding my flats. One thing that's important is I always start with my weak side first, so I could always match that later. Kick back and watch. I'm quenching between, when you see me go off camera with the blade in my arm, it's going to a quench bucket with every pass so I don't destroy my temper. Alright, so you guys can see, hopefully you're getting this on camera. I brought it up to my scribe line. I'll clean it up a little bit and then I'll go right onto my flats. Now you guys can see here, I'm not quite up to my line yet. I started to form my ricasso. You can see how I'm kind of using it as a guide. And I'm letting the steel tell me where to go. So if this comes up a little bit high, I know I need to put pressure here, let off pressure here. For an excellent grinding video on how to flat grind, check out Ecom Knives flat grinding tutorial. He puts up some great tutorials on things. I'm not going to make you sit here and watch me grind this entire knife. So I'm going to finish this grind up, and this is my weak side. Then I'm going to try to match this side to this grind. So I'll be back. Alright guys, so I basically rough ground both sides here. You know, it's not perfect. I used a 50 grit. I got my flats, which is nice. I wanted to take it up high to stay with a full fat grind, but I don't want to break this point. I don't want to break this through. So I still have a little bit more room that I can go to bring it up, and then I'll blend everything together is what I'm looking to do. My edge is still quite thick. I'm using a older 50 grit belt. I'm going to change it out to a new one so I get some grab, but I wanted to establish my flaps. I wanted to show you something. The proper way to hold a knife when you're grinding, okay? Let's just say here, this is a little shelf with a little thumb, and the meat of your finger is back there so it can push. You're not pushing with your thumb, okay? You're not resting on top. You're pushing this, and you'll feel the belt running along here, but it won't, you know, it's not really going to do anything to you unless you just slam it in. But what I do is, now that I have a flat grind, it's established. A lot of times I would get the smiley face. It would go up high here in this part of the grind, come back down and go around. That's all has to do with pressure. So if you come in and you push in here and you drag across, and this part of your ricasso is high and then it goes down, that means you got to start again. But when you get to this point, you got to put pressure on the back hard against there and then let off as you get towards the front. Okay, so now I'm going to switch out to a 50 grit, a new 50 grit belt. Clean this up faster, keep it thin. Sometimes I like to keep it a little bit of a smoother belt to get a smoother grind to start, so you can see that I can keep that centering and I don't chew it and overshoot what I'm going for here. So I'm going to refine this ricasso on both sides, take it down deep, thin this edge, then I'll go to a 120, hit it again, and then I'll smack it with a 220, and then I'll be able to put it into hand sand, you know, do a satin finish on it, and then I'll do an acid stonewash etch. But another thing is I don't know if you could see, flatness is important here, fellas. Flatness. If you have undulations and striations in your grind, that's just because you're being hesitant as you're going across, or you're pulling away, or you're doing something. That's going to come with time. You want to keep this. Let's see if I can get in the light where you can see it's a flat grind, which means it translates to, when I sand, it's done deal, real easy. yeah, you just got to stick with it, and they say it takes about 100 knives before you get everything down, everything down pat. But you know, you just keep going with it. So what I'm going to do now, a lot of times what I do too is I'll recoat it with Dicam and go over it again to make sure I'm hitting my points of where I want to hit, and switch the blade, and I'll be back. Okay guys, I finally made it down to 220 grit, and what I like to do with the last coat, it's kind of like a guide coat. I put the good old Dicam on both sides, and I'll do a couple of passes on each side to get to see if I have any high spots, low spots, see how flat it really is. So I'll just do a quick couple passes.